Thank you for joining us today. One of the great joys of being in the Brattleboro area is the ability of differing groups to collaborate with one another. And you might ask, what would Brattleboro Senior Meals and the Windham Orchestra have in common? Well, it's simple. A very fun fundraiser coming up in just a few weeks. And here to tell us about it is Hugh Keelan from the Windham Orchestra, Chris McAvoy from Brattleboro Senior Meals, Deborah Albright, who is a board member for Brattleboro Senior Meals, and Lynn Trowbridge, who is involved with the Windham Orchestra. Thank you all for coming and talking to us today. So what's going to be happening? How did you come up with this idea?
Oh my gosh, we're just so happy about this. I'm just jumping in, okay? Is that all right?
That's what I was hoping you'd do, yes.
Yeah. So there's so much that overlaps between the Brattleboro Senior Meals and the Windham Orchestra. So you've identified that we got this amazing program on March the 20th at noon, but also we have a common human element in this, and that's Chris here, who runs the Senior Centre and plays viola, principal viola in the orchestra. And that's very exciting that she's a common link between the two organizations. And for us, it's a pilot program. So for the first time ever, I think we're doing a lunchtime concert, probably about an hour and 10 minutes. And we have the opportunity for people to come in and have lunch and hear Bach, Brandenburg concertos, fairy tales by Ravel, a bossa nova by a guy who lives on Western Avenue, and stuff for cool kids. This is really, really exciting program. Perfect lunchtime music.
It really is, and the fact is it sounds as though it's benefiting a program which really has well-defined benefits for the community and is always in need of funding.
That's true. We've had a particularly difficult year this year with the winter being, the weather making it very difficult for us to get meals out to people. We always need funds, as you pointed out, and this is a perfect opportunity for us to work with one of my favorite organizations, the Windham Orchestra.
Well, that's great. Maybe we should begin by just outlining what Brattleboro Senior Meals is, who it's designed for, and what do people get out of it.
Brattleboro Senior Meals is the organization that runs the Meals on Wheels here in Brattleboro. We also cover Vernon, we cover Marlborough, Guilford, Dummerston, and we go out 5 days a week with volunteers. We have about 125 volunteers that go into, during any 1 week, that go into preparing and getting the meals delivered to about 80 people that we're seeing right now. The people that we deliver to are mostly over 60. They all experience some type of food insecurity, which means that they have some sort of issue around eating. Either they cannot afford their food, or they are too disabled and not able to make their food, or they're just recovering from a hospitalization. The other portion of the people that we serve are disabled people under 60, and they get funding from a different source. But we go out 5 days a week. A couple times this year we weren't able to get out due to the really hard winter that we've had so far. But it's really important to them. These people are mostly at home all day by themselves, and they need to see a friendly face that comes with a meal.
And what do people get out of it on their end? I take it it's more than just food for them.
Right. Well, actually, we recently did a survey to find out what people really thought, or what they said they got out of it. And like Chris said, one of the things that they said are really important is seeing a volunteer every day. Sometimes that's the only person they see, is the person that comes and brings them the meal. And the volunteers are wonderful because they do spend time with these elderly. And then the other thing they had said was that being the fact that, you know, they can't maybe fix a meal, or they just don't feel like it, that having the meals come into their homes really helps them with their life. They feel like they're getting a lot more nutrition, they're healthier, they're more social. And I think this is really important. And they are one of the more vulnerable people that we have in our community.
Certainly, any society is judged on how it takes care of its most vulnerable, both our children and those who have a disability and those who are in their more seasoned years. So it's great to see that these programs are available. How are they supported other than by the occasional fundraiser?
We get money from the federal government. The Older Americans Act funds all the senior programs that I run. They fund the senior meals, Meals on Wheels, and the congregate luncheons at the senior center. This particular funding source has been much in dispute this past year, and we've been hit by the sequestration. And then money was put back in, and then it was taken out again. And every time there's a political argument, senior meals ends up right in the front. It's been really difficult to plan because you never know where your money is going to come from. We also ask that people who participate make a small donation, but the rest of it is up to the board to raise funds. And the government really only pays for about half of the cost of making a meal. So sometimes we really do have to scramble and find other ways that we can raise money if we want to keep feeding people.
Well, this is just a great idea that all of you are collaborating. How did you, once you came up with the idea that, gosh, let's work together, how did you plan it?
That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was
Well, since there's no precedent for it, we winged it. And we winged it so well that it's actually happening. There's a date and a place and a cost to it all, and that's all very exciting. So, but really, we didn't know what we were doing to start with. There's an absolutely enormous benefit for us, the Windham Orchestra, in this collaboration. Just enormous. Because here we are dealing with, holding hands with really a vital and frankly very enlightening human service. Now, we are not a human service. We're an artistic organization, and we certainly want to have a really profound influence on the community. We actually want to be indispensable to the community, but we can't pretend that we're providing food and drink and housing for people. That's not what we do. So the benefit to us in holding hands with Brattleboro Senior Meals and organizations like that in the human service is so extraordinarily high. And one of the things that really delights me is when I go into the senior center, I know a whole lot of people who are part of the program there. And I know them from different areas of town. And one of the areas is that they are actually very frequent concert goers. Some of them, right? And this is just such a delight for me. So there's something to build on already in the relationship between what this glorious, essential, and also obviously, not always sure where the money's coming from, human services, and what we provide. So we want to be part of that ray of light that Deborah was referring to, that extra piece that, yes, it's a meal, yes, it's an essential thing, and the real joy is when somebody's face lights up and that they have a human soul in front of them, somebody friendly, or in our case, a whole pile of friendly people who are also playing music. That's the joy for us in this collaboration.
So
I was just going to say, Hugh has brought to the orchestra a attitude of service toward the community and joining with the community. He has recognized local composers who didn't hardly know they were composers. They've written music for years. They have no training, perhaps, but they get a performance. Or he's opened rehearsals at the River Garden to anybody who walked in the door, just to give, to enlarge the orchestra and to give people that human connection and allay the fears of some performers who only perform in their basement, let's say.
Well, that's it. Music should be accessible to the masses.
Yeah, it really should, yeah.
And so, in case people have not heard the Windham Orchestra, give me the rundown. How big are you, and how long have many of you been playing, that sort of thing?
Good, thank you. So the Windham Orchestra describes itself as a community orchestra. And just jumping off what Lynn was saying, I've really wanted to kind of redefine what community means. So we could describe ourselves, and possibly have described ourselves, as an orchestra that we draw our membership from the community. This could be the membership of the orchestra, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's all true, that absolutely happens. Also, something that perhaps has been hidden for some time that I've wanted to bring to the orchestra is, just as Lynn says, is to be of service. We provide for the community. That's possibly the most important differentiation that I want to make. We have young students playing in the orchestra. I'm emphatic that we won't audition people. The orchestra itself is the growth environment for people. We don't expect people to have done all their growing, now you're good enough to come in and play with the orchestra. We don't expect that. In fact, and this is a novelty. This is not the way things normally go. And the consequence of that is that people come in really wanting to have an inspiring time, right? I won't say people come in without fears about, well, am I good enough? Will I practice hard enough? All that stuff. They possibly do come in with all that stuff. But once they're there, there is nothing but the pleasure of large-scale ensemble music making together. And we do glorious music. We do music that really makes you laugh and cry, you know. It really strikes the heart, the music that we perform. So, you know, the benefits to the community, not just to us, are really very, very strong.
Gosh, I thought I heard some of the same sentiment without the conscience you express in the musical The Music Man from Professor Harold Hill.
Yes, yes. If I remember correctly, it's a charlatan and a fraud, right?
Yes, but I said without being a charlatan.
Yeah. Okay.
You, sir, have a conscience.
Well, I pretend to, yeah.
But no, just an incredible spirit that the Brattleboro area has, and it's nice that you have expanded the reach in standing on the shoulders of such forebearers as Blanche Maurice.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I trust that one could just walk into a rehearsal, or should they contact you first?
No, they should not contact us first. They should absolutely come to any rehearsal, any time that we're doing. So that's that. We're on air. It's out there. Yeah.
I like that. I like that possibility. So, have you just played in the Brattleboro area as an orchestra, or have you expanded your reach beyond that?
We're definitely always expanding our reach, and we encounter obstacles around that. So this is already a volunteer organization, and so if we add concerts, if we expand our radius of marketing and attraction and everything, basically concert halls further away, that's putting a further volunteer demand on people who are already giving an extraordinary amount. So we're always playing a balancing act with that one, and we totally want to. There's a perpetual sense of frustration that we do week after hard work and maximum 2 performances of some absolutely blisteringly wonderful music, and then it's over, and then there's next one, right? So we don't really create the momentum that we want to of performance time relative to rehearsal time. Is not a particularly happy formula at the moment, and we don't see a particular way of solving that equation.
So you're a volunteer group with funding needs of your own, but yet you reached out via Chris and said, let's work together on this.
So it's so wonderful that you asked that. So this is how we expand our audience and our community, shall we say, involvement, power, and commitment, our community relationship, is when we collaborate with people who don't necessarily have anything to do with classical music, right? Because then the interest is in us as a collaborator rather than, well, I don't like that English guy, or I don't like Tchaikovsky, or I do like Tchaikovsky, or I don't like classical music. All the stuff suddenly disappears. All that stuff which gets in the way of people actually attending actually disappears if we're working with issues like homelessness or senior meals or with churches or you name it.
Well, the one thing I've learned as I've grown, both as a person and in effect musically is that a lot of the popular music of today is standing again on the shoulders of some of the great composers of the past centuries.
Who are you thinking of? Are you thinking of MC Hammer or?
I actually was thinking of something as simple as the Rhapsody in Blue,
Yes, yeah.
which commercial media has stolen for a commercial.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think of that? Do you have any sense that there's like a better and a worse in that type of interchange?
Actually, I think that any time music is performed in the instrumental mode or sung, that takes talent, and really the talent it takes should be appreciated.
I couldn't agree more. So my take on that is very similar to yours, is that I'll put it in an overstated form, right? So I don't quite mean everything of what I'm saying, but I'll go for it anyhow.
Okay.
So the greater the composer, the more transgressions you can make with them, right? Hence Jacques Lussier and Bach and all that stuff. I don't know, Santana and Beethoven, you name it. All these things actually really elevate the original rather than take away from it. Or classical music, Wagner and Mickey in Bugs Bunny. All this type of thing. It actually elevates, both sides of the relationship and the equation.
And by that token, it is within all of us, and all you need to do is open your ears and open your mind.
That's right, yeah.
So, given that, what kind of performances are normally done at meal sites?
At meal sites? Interesting. We've had a whole array of different musicians, and at one point we had Irish step dancers. We've had all kinds of people that come. Piano players and instrumentalists, folk dancing, guitarists. I think we had a drummer once too. But we had all kinds of different types of music. Country western is a popular one with a lot of the seniors.
Reason why I say that is because the generation that you are serving now grew up with such icons as Johnny Cash, Chuck Berry, Elvis Presley.
As a matter of fact, we do have someone coming up, I would say St. Patrick's Day, who will not really do Johnny Cash, but we will have some rock and roll going on for St. Patrick's Day.
So this, again, is just a natural synergy.
It is.
So, given that, how can people get involved with this particular event? Are you selling tickets in advance?
Yes, we are. And there's several ways we can do this. One is if you wish to pay by check or need financial assistance, is to either stop in at the senior center or call me at the senior center. And the number would be the 802-257-1236. The other way is to call the BMC. And
Brattleboro Music Center.
yes, pardon me.
I'm against acronyms because people may not understand what they are.
Call the Brattleboro Music Center. They can handle credit cards, or you can go onto Brattleboro Tix. You order the meal at the same time that you purchase the ticket. There's a price scheme there for that.
And tell me about this meal, because you obviously put a great deal of planning into it with a bit of tongue-in-cheek done.
First I sat down with my cook, who does most of the meal planning, and we said, what would be a good meal that we could take into the Latchis Theatre and not spill it all over the place?
Yeah, they just redid their seats.
Yes, I know. And so we brainstormed a little bit, and she came up with a meal that would fit in a box that we can use some disposable silverware for, and a sandwich. And so she just made it very plain, and I brought this meal into the Windham Orchestra committee meeting, and I said, this is what we want to serve. And all of a sudden I hear all these wonderful words that are coming from the committee. Instead of just a chicken salad sandwich, well, of course it's going to be I don't even remember what it was, pagoda.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got the sandwich of the pagodas.
Yeah,
Please
sandwich
send
of
it
the
to
pagodas, a Thai chicken salad on homemade bread.
Very nice.
And, and little pieces that are from the pieces that we're playing in the concert are added into the menu to kind of spice things up there.
Let's see, Bossa Nova vegan sandwich. So you can blame it on the Bossa Nova.
Yes.
Pardon the
And that's
pun.
by a local composer, I believe, isn't it?
So this is he's a great friend of mine. I just called him the guy who lives on Western Avenue. He's called Jeff Stamler, and he's an extraordinary man. He's a lawyer. He's writing a magnum opus on the work of Rudolf Steiner, and he's an extraordinary intellect, extraordinary author. And he is in our category of what we call citizen composers. This is a theme for the season. And don't tell anybody, but I'm going to extend it for beyond the season.
It'll be our secret.
It's
Right.
our secret, right? So it's been so successful, and it's very candid. It's been an audience grower. You know, these people who are not primarily musicians. Yes, they're musicians, but that's not at the top of their job description, their self description. They come with entourage and fans and family and great uncles and grandchildren, who knows what. And people are really interested in hearing these people's pieces, you know.
So suddenly you've crossed Canal Street.
Suddenly, that's right. Yeah.
If I may use that comparison.
You may indeed. Yeah. The other side of Canal Street. Yes. Got it.
And so you've got a really great constituency and growing. I just want to mention a couple of the other items on the menu. Kale symphonic salad. Would that be quadraphonic?
Oh yeah, that would be that's essential for the poppy seed dressing.
Oh yes. And confetti concerto salad. And of course, Brandenburg double chocolate cookie.
Yes.
That would be the Brandenburg concerto.
It would indeed. That's right. Yeah.
Oh my, and it would probably melt in your mouth as the concerto would melt in your ears.
You should have seen them making the potato salad. So the parsley and the cheese they drilled it like confetti over the salad. It was extraordinary to watch. It was a masterpiece.
I really am not surprised, and I hope this will be not the last time that all of you contribute to a symphony, which really is the same as putting a meal together.
Yeah, and it really is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Now this is the menu, so we're looking at the menu, and the menu is not the meal. So and me or Lynn or Chris talking about or yourself talking about the music for the concert. That's not the music, right? That's just us talking about the music. So, of course, we really want to encourage people to come along and have this extraordinary meal, this extravaganza. Shall I go with smorgasbord of music and food and culinary delights? It's going to be just an extraordinary day.
As you might expect, it would not be hot dogs and a bag of chips. Not that that's bad
Not
for
that
you,
that's bad, no.
but this sounds like a very worthwhile and enriching experience on both ends.
We think so.
So again, the date is March the 20th. And how can people either get tickets or get involved in this event?
You can call me at the Senior Center, which is 802-257-1236. Or for tickets, you may call the Brattleboro Music Center at 257-4523.
And in case someone wants more information about Brattleboro Senior Meals?
The Senior Center. Stop in. We're right on Main Street. We're open 9 to 4 every day except for Friday when we close at 1. And stop in for a meal. We have a meal every day at 12 noon.
Monday through Friday,
Monday
of course.
through Friday, yes.
And Hugh, in case people want to know more about the Windham Orchestra.
Yeah, so a great way to find about the Windham Orchestra would be to come to this lunchtime concert. It's a first for us, so it's very tight in the time frame. It's probably not more than an hour and 10 minutes of music. I'll probably say a few words about each piece. And you'll get a flavour of the orchestra. So this is not the largest orchestra that we perform with. We go to as many as 60, 70, sometimes even 80 people. But this is probably in the 40, 50 range of people, slightly tighter concert than sometimes we do. And you will see that there's an extraordinary cross-section of the population playing highly ambitious, challenging, and I'll even say transcendent music. This is what we do. And we do it for fun, we do it effortlessly, and we do it because we really love to give to the community. And as this conversation is suggesting, we benefit through the giving to the community. That's how the orchestra grows, is the more that we give and are generous to the community.
Hugh Keelan, Chris McAvoy, Deb Albright, and Lynn Trowbridge, thank you all. I mean, gosh, congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
So here you have it. The Brattleboro area is blessed with a rich cultural background and a caring capacity for one another that goes beyond anything that I've seen in my time on this mere earth. Open your heart, open your mind, open your wallet. It's not that tough. You have to eat anyway. Perfect combination. Come out to the Latchis on March the 20th and help Brattleboro Senior Meals listen to the Windham Orchestra. Thank you all, and may I say, bon appetit.